evening is all about confidence and self-expression. But how do we get to that level of assurance and minimize uncertainty to take risks, break boundaries and challenges? How do we make a difference? It's the question we're all asking ourselves. So we've invited 5 visionary voices to find out. These movers, shakers, and innovators are pushing the industry forward and inspiring the next generation to dream big and express themselves too. So please welcome our visionaries, Asha Walker, Jay Hammonds, Emily Carter, Lisa Kahn, and Mariana Hewitt.
I am Mariana Hewitt. I'm an influencer and co-founder of the clean skincare line Summer Fridays.
My name is Jay Hammonds, and I'm an executive support engineer working at a company in Silicon Valley.
Hey everybody, I'm Lisa Kahn, co-founder and CEO of Icebreaker, a new kind of online event designed to strengthen communities.
Hey, I'm Emily Carter. I lead communications at Imperfect Foods. We are a grocery delivery service on a mission to eliminate food waste and build a better food system for everyone.
Hi, my name is Asha Walker, and I'm the founder and executive director of Health in the Hood. We build vegetable gardens in food desert communities and teach health education and how to grow your own food.
And I'm Jaclyn Johnson, your moderator. I am the CEO and founder of Create and Cultivate. We are an online platform and offline community for women looking to create and cultivate the career of their dreams. I'm going to let each of you kick off the conversation because you inspire so many people with confidence to be themselves and pursue their dreams. And a huge part of this comes down to what you wear. So in 30 seconds or less, tell me how the express outfit you're wearing, specifically my twin down there, helps you instill that confidence. So Emily, I'll throw it to you first.
Yeah, well, it definitely makes me feel confident because it's the first outfit I've worn in months. But in all seriousness, I love the metallic shine and how I can easily take it from a daytime meeting to a nighttime dinner party. It just looks great, really, no matter where I am.
Love it. Okay, Mariana.
Hey, I'm Mariana. I am an influencer and I'm the co-founder of Summer Fridays. It's a clean skincare line. And in Zoom, especially, I feel my most confident in tops that really accentuate everything up here. So I've really been dressing up from the waist up and wearing sweatpants from the waist down, but I always just feel my most confident on camera when I have a great top and accessories on.
Ain't no shame in the sweatpant game. I love it. Lisa?
Yeah, it's funny. All of my big life moments, all of my accomplishments, I remember exactly what I was wearing. And this is my first time wearing this dress. And forever it will always be the dress that I wore in this moment. It is a silk, really cute, sort of green dress that honestly feels like pajamas, but looks very chic and polished. And I feel awesome in it.
Amazing. I love your necklaces as well. Asha?
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Asha. I'm the executive director of Health in the Hood. And aside from this being one of the first outfits and shoes I've worn in months, for me, it's fit. I just slipped this on and felt like it was just made for my body, like pretty much every other piece from Express with a clean line. And I just feel effortlessly polished. So it is a home run for me.
I love it. Well, Jay, you're hanging with the ladies. So tell us what you're thinking.
That's totally fine. I've got 6 sisters. So for me,
Wow.
right. It's as simple as it is. For me, it's as simple as when you look good, you feel good. And so putting this on, I'm fun, I'm comfortable. I feel pretty good in this. And I'm glad I really get to keep this this nice little jacket here because it'll be a staple piece for myself.
I love it. And of course, you aren't all just looking amazing, but you're also being amazing by helping those in need by being here tonight. So as you all know, we're supporting GoFundMe's Small Business Relief Fund to help those impacted by COVID-19. Many of you on this panel either work for or run a small business and have felt the effects of the pandemic firsthand. So you know how important it is to generate support. So thank you to our panelists and to everyone watching who's donating right now. All of us can make a difference and every donation counts. And don't forget that Express is matching all donations that come in today up to $50,000. So text Express to 41411. That's 41411, and you can make your donation today. So none of you are strangers to philanthropy and giving back to your community either. So Asha, I'm going to start with you. I'd love to kick off the conversation to talk about your project. For millions of people living in food deserts, eating fresh food is literally impossible, but you're changing that with your nonprofit, Health in the Hood. Can you give us some background on your charity and how you're helping build confidence and connection in the communities through vegetables?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so a little bit about what we do, taking it back. We're Health in the Hood. We're a 501c3 based in South Florida, and we convert vacant land into vegetable gardens. If you're not sure what a food desert is, they are neighborhoods that are more than a mile away from a grocery store. So there's no Whole Foods, there's no Trader Joe's, and it's really hard to access fresh foods in those communities. So we thought it would be a much better use of space to convert that land and build vegetable gardens, teach the community how to grow their own food, the nutritional benefits of growing your own food and eating healthy foods. And it was really started by an idea. I thought that everyone should have access to healthy food. It seems really simple, but somehow we've managed to mangle our food system. And this was just a really simple, beautiful way to close that gap. And so we've been doing that for the last 7 years. Food is really the great equalizer, we say. And so when you're teaching communities how to grow their own foods, putting your hands in the soil, growing foods together, it is a totally unifying experience. And we see communities become connected and empowered and full of confidence. We're teaching communities how to grow a really high commodity product. So it was a really beautiful way to close some of those gaps and to help build confidence and connection in all communities.
Wow, that's such incredible work and such an amazing story, especially now more than ever. And I want to go to Jay. You also are connecting communities through your Year Up at program, which has helped bring in nearly 400 diverse interns. How is this program bridging the gap between tech and underrepresented youth while helping to inspire confidence in the next generation?
Yeah, so taking it a step back, working at my company as an executive support engineer, and then coming through as an intern about a decade ago, I realized that, myself being a Black person, there needed to be more people who look like me there. So ensuring that, more people who look like myself, who were just as talented as the people that were coming through these doors, just giving them the right opportunities, the right path, as well as just inspiring them to live within their confidence. So in starting this program, I thought it was very, very important for people who live just across the street to be able to walk across and be in these companies. And so by doing so, we brought in over 450 diverse interns to a specific company and inspired so many more. And it's just creating a ripple effect in these communities that's so important. And I'll stand by that forever.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's amazing work, especially in the tech industry, which so oftentimes lacks diversity. This is such a hugely important mission that you have, and congrats on the work that you've done. And now, Emily, so your passion for crooked cucumbers and scarred apples led you to help communities embrace imperfect foods. So how is the grocery delivery service making food more affordable and accessible while supporting the farmers and reducing food waste?
Yeah, such a good question. First of all, Asha, we need to connect after this. But it's been so humbling to see the impact of our work on the communities we serve. At a macro level, the environmental advantages of reducing food waste are so tremendous. Experts at Project Drawdown say that reducing food waste is the number 3 most impactful way to combat climate change. But at a micro level, since we're sourcing food and produce that traditional grocery stores wouldn't buy, we're able to economically support our farm partners and also pass those savings along to our customers. This is especially important right now with food insecurity at an all-time high. And to give some examples, due to the pandemic, we were able to step in and source snack trays that were destined for airlines, granola that was destined for college campuses, stir-fried veggie mixes that were destined for restaurants. And since we have local warehouses across the country, we're also able to partner with local food banks and nonprofits that are fighting hunger. So we've donated about 5.7 million pounds of food to over 100 nonprofits to date. So yeah, being this nimble grocer allows us to support farmers and growers, especially during more challenging times, and also provide fresh, affordable food to people across the country.
Amazing. I mean, the inspiration is pouring out of this panel. It's so awesome. I'm excited to see what you guys all do after this and that connection that's being made. So love that. So Lisa, it's actually a nice segue into your work at Icebreaker. So you're building an entirely new digital experience, one that prioritizes depth and authenticity over likes and views, which I think is something we all can get behind. So how are you healing societal division in the digital age and enabling people to build stronger relationships online?
What really strikes me about Jay, Asha, and Emily's stories is that in addition to solving major problems, you're also building communities and giving people who are a part of your various communities a sense of belonging. And if you look at the past 50, 60 years, we've seen a massive decline in membership to community. And alongside that decline in community, which has been well researched and well documented, we see a rise in loneliness, addiction, extremism and polarization, a lack of trust in institutions, all sorts of things that we see in our headlines and in our world every single day. And this is sort of my life's work and my passion, is building meaningful communities for people. Prior to starting Icebreaker, I was working at Facebook, and I found that there was this incredible rise of powerful, meaningful digital communities. While in our physical environments, we might not be able to find someone who aligns with us on every aspect of our identity, you can probably find those people online. And what was sort of missing from those digital communities were ways of engaging and building meaningful one-on-one relationships and having difficult and fun and important conversations online. And so I started a company called Icebreaker, which is this new kind of online event that is designed to give people a sense of togetherness online that we typically only feel in person. And we started the company long before we knew what COVID-19 was or the impact it would have on our lives. And I'm really proud that today we've been able to host tons of communities who are able to build meaningful relationships from the safety of their own homes.
That's incredible as well. And obviously such good timing. I mean, I think now more than ever, people are looking to find their community and their people, especially as we isolate sometimes alone, it can feel overwhelming. So that's incredible. And so Mariana, last but definitely not least, so giving back has always been at the cornerstone of your personal brand. And in June, you donated 100% of profits from a weekend sale at Summer Fridays to the Black Lives Matter movement. And for your 32nd birthday, you matched 10 donations to give back to communities that need it most. So why is it so important to use your massive platform to give back, and how is it inspiring confidence in others to do the same?
Well, I'm so inspired by everybody that just spoke before me. I feel like, wow, like, am I doing enough? Because everybody else is doing so much. And I think that's really why it's so important to share these things on a platform like Instagram and social media, because you get so inspired by other people who are doing such incredible things. So as an influencer, using my own platform to share resources like this for others, hopefully inspires them to use their platform, whether they have 10, 100, or a million followers, to do the same. And then within the brand, we really are a community-driven brand. And being a community-driven brand doesn't mean just, using our community to sell products. It also means giving back to the community in ways that are important to them. So we did do 100% of profits donated to Black Lives Matters. We also did a lot of things around the beginning of COVID. And so when we were seeing healthcare workers working and having dry skin from being in hospitals all the time, we donated jet lag masks to them. And then using our resources of being a beauty company, we knew that there was a need for hand sanitizers. So we produced 10,000 units and donated those to healthcare workers as well, so that they could have access to these things. And so we just try to find different ways to give back to our community, and then hopefully inspire other influencers and brands to do the same.
Amazing. It's amazing work, especially as a business during COVID where everything feels crazy. It's like you're taking your time, you're giving back. It's amazing. So now let's talk about confidence. So building it, achieving it, applying it, and how it helps you guys pursue your dreams. So Asha, I'm going to go to you first. So the first step toward developing lasting self-confidence is to practice acceptance of your strengths, of your weaknesses, your challenges. So how do your strengths and challenges work together to help build your self-esteem and achieve your greatest goals?
Well, I come from a theater background. And so part of that craft was to always be learning, and to always be evolving. And so I think that was something that really carried into my non-theater life. After I sort of graduated from that world and got into the nonprofit sector, it kind of carried over into the same kind of vein. You can do the work, but if you think you're done, then you really are done. And if you're always learning and always evolving, then you're constantly pushing yourself to try something new, to let your mistakes sometimes even inform your strengths. So learning from things that you may have are the difficult things that make you uncomfortable, but pushing through those things and using them and allowing them to help inform how you grow from all those experiences, I think has been really helpful, especially doing community work, because you hit a lot of walls. There's a lot of roadblocks. And if you think you're going to give up and not try to figure it out, then that really puts you behind the curve. So definitely being malleable and allowing yourself to always be a student, to always be learning.
Yes, I love that. And someone once said to me, failure is just a set of data points. You're just using that to be better, to grow from there. So Jay, you've achieved so much success, but the filtered world of social media often hides the hard work and the hustle behind the scenes. So can you describe a time you failed, but later realized it was just a stepping stone to something great?
Yeah, people often, come to me and they know me by what they see on my Instagram feed, but they don't know what happens behind the scenes. And so what's really happening is a ton of failure. And I live my life by a set of these 6 principles. And one of them actually is not being afraid to fail. The more I fail, the more that I know that I'm actually trying and striving to do something. So when we're talking about confidence and how that relates to failure, if you're not failing enough, maybe you're not trying enough. And it's okay. It should be a part of your everyday, strive. So early on in my career, I loved this Nike branding campaign, which was failure is not an option. And I lived by it. And after my mentor had kind of given me a talking to, I realized that I was completely wrong and that failure is not an option, but it is actually one of the best options. So because of all the failures that I've had, I've been able to reach some levels of certain success. And I will continue to fail, just like I'm probably failing at some point today. But I'm not fearing that. And so embrace it, own it, let it be a part of your everyday, but understand that those successes will come. And along the way, people will take on some of those things and learn from it.
Yeah, and I love that. Don't fear the failure. I think that's so important because really they go hand in hand, right? If you're not scared to fail, you have that the possibilities are really endless. So Emily, for you, self-confidence is a work in progress, but having a confident role model can really help develop that muscle over time. So who is a self-assured mentor in your life? How have they helped boost your confidence? And what advice can you share on finding a mentor?
Yeah, totally. As a person still pretty early in my career, self-confidence is definitely a work in progress. But yeah, my first boss, Alex, has been a really amazing role model and mentor in so many ways, especially in really helping me find my voice. I'm definitely more of a listener than a talker, and I tend toward introversion. So those are qualities that can often be misunderstood, especially in the workplace. But Alex really valued those qualities and helped me kind of reframe them and understand them as an asset rather than a hindrance. And I've turned to her in like so many moments for guidance and advice. So I'd say you're going to come across a lot of potential mentors in your life. My suggestion in finding the right one is when someone sees you and values you for you, like keep them close, ask their help, ask their advice, share the good with them, share the bad. Those people are going to be the best advocates and mentors because they're really recognizing you for you.
It's so important. And Lisa, success is often celebrated when we hit major milestones, but there's a lot of boldness and bravery in taking small, sort of unrecognized steps. So can you recall a time when you took a small step that led to a significant change in your life and helped you boost your confidence along the way?
I love that question. It reminds me of there's this sort of anecdote that the stone cutter hammers away at the stone 100 times before it breaks. And then on the 101st blow, it breaks into two. And it wasn't the 101st blow that cut the stone in two, it was the 100 that came before. And I think about that all the time. One example that comes to mind for me when you ask the question is in 2015, I went to grad school at MIT, which seemed like a very big deal, just getting in, but it doesn't matter that you got it. What matters is what happens when you go. And it was about to be an election year. It was the first time I hadn't been working in politics. I wasn't a part of an election. And I was really hungry to do something and I missed it. And so I took literal steps a few doors down to the MIT Media Lab, which was a research lab as part of MIT. And I literally knocked doors and walked into different labs and learned what they were up to. And I happened to stumble into a lab that was sponsored by Twitter and had access to every tweet ever published. And the lab was really interested in making sense of Twitter data about the 2016 presidential election. They had all the data scientists that they needed. They had all the data that they needed. They just didn't have someone who had the expertise in politics and journalism to help them make sense of that data. And so I came back the next day and the next day and the next day. And 2 years later, I've been working there full time for 2 years, being one of the first research labs to study ideological polarization on social media in arguably the most polarized election in recent history. And it was literally a series of steps that resulted in something that I'm incredibly proud of that has shaped my career and really the world, for years to come.
What an incredible experience. I mean, just walking outside, I mean, clearly you could just knock on doors and see what happens and something like that. It's so amazing. So Mariana, not all self-doubt is a bad thing, as we've kind of talked about. Sometimes it's a signal that we haven't prepared enough. We need more information. Should we move in a different direction or take a break? Or as we all are saying now, pivot. Can you tell us about a time when self-doubt was actually useful and how it strengthened your self-image and your confidence?
First, I think I'd like to say that self-doubt is a completely normal feeling. So just because you're doubting yourself or, we talked about fearing yourself, it doesn't mean that it should stop you from doing something. But when I doubted myself, especially when starting our company, it made me become curious, if anything. And when I got curious, I was like, okay, let me reach out to other people who know better than me. And when I started reaching out to experts or people who are now mentors to me or friends or people who were in the business fields that I wanted to go into, they gave me so much confidence because of how supportive they were and how encouraging they were. So when I was starting to doubt myself of like, can I really do this? They really were there to support me. And then they made me feel good to go on and, eventually do what we've done now in the last few years. And so I think if you are doubting yourself, I think reaching out to an incredible group of people, have a group of people around you who really support you, core people who believe in whatever it is that you're doing. Because if you have doubters in your circle and you're listening to them, and these are your closest friends, they're not your friends. And you really should get people who are just like on your team and believe in the things that you're doing. And so for me, that's been my biggest, piece of advice is that you really want a supportive group of people around you.
So important. And, like you said, reaching out in the same way Emily did with her mentors, finding those people in your field that are doing something similar to you or that you want to do, reach out. You have nothing to lose in that situation. So let's move on to advice so we can encourage others to dream big and express themselves. So Asha, you've become a prominent figure in the fight towards ending food insecurity with thousands of people rallying around your mission and activism. But it wasn't an overnight success. So I'd love to know what it really is like to shift culture, pioneer a new space like you have while facing adversity, and how we can inspire others to follow in your incredible footsteps.
Well, I have to first not cry at that incredible question and title. That I don't know if I would call myself a pioneer, but I'll take the title. I feel incredibly fortunate. I feel like I really get to be part of a team. Nationwide, there is incredible work being done in the food security space. So I feel at its core completely grateful to be able to work in a space that is making such vast changes to people's lives. It's your food sources really change your entire trajectory. So to be able to be a part of people's everyday lives, it really fills me with a great sense of pride. I think advice for anyone who's going to be facing adversity, starting a new idea, starting a new business, pivoting, it's just to start with the idea, build it out, and make sure that you're going to be malleable through the process. Taking an asset-based approach is something that was really helpful for us. So going into a community, going into your toolkits and thinking about what assets you've already got available, as opposed to what problems you're going to be coming up against, really gives you a different lens when you're approaching any sort of a situation, whether you're building something out or just in the evolution of an existing project. So really kind of taking those and putting them together are some advice that I would share.
Amazing. I love that so much. And food, it's such a simple thing, but it's so important. It's life-changing. And the work you're doing is really inspiring and incredible. So Jay, to go to you, social media is a highlight reel that is often unrealistic. I think we all can agree with that. But what advice do you have for people who feel like their dreams are unrealistic or unachievable? And how do they step into their power and purpose in the way that you have?
Well, the first thing that I have to say, when we're talking about dreaming, no dream is too big. So you could step into anything that you want and understanding that. So applying like the laws of attraction to your life and the things that you want. Thinking about what it is that you want for your career, your friends, your family, yourself, understanding that you can achieve anything that is possible. It is all obtainable. But first, that step is self-confidence and understanding that it starts with oneself. So, it takes tricks of the trade of just applying these things and these ideologies like to your everyday life. And I speak this from experience because, growing up as I did in Oakland, I wasn't exposed to a lot of, positive things. And so what I learned was if I had a positive mind and I tried to do the best that I could in everything, I can achieve these such dreams on a daily basis. And I think that power of attraction and that law of attraction was something that helped me understand that all things were possible and are possible.
Love it. It's like manifesting it, putting it out in the world and bringing it back to you. It's so important. And Emily, obviously you've achieved so much success with Imperfect Foods. I mean, the story you told us earlier where you're like impacting millions and millions of people, serving millions and millions of meals. It's amazing. But this also comes with a set of challenges, I'm sure, and growing pains. So what's been your biggest business challenge this year and what did you learn from it?
Totally. Yeah. These past few months have been incredibly challenging, but also incredibly rewarding. As an essential business, we really had to figure out a way to kind of continue running our business and reliably deliver food to our community. We have hundreds of thousands of people across the country relying on us for fresh food, especially the folks on our reduced cost box program. So that's a program that offers an additional discount for anyone who's eligible for SNAP. So I would say the biggest challenge was kind of implementing new health processes and protocols to keep everyone safe in an incredibly uncertain environment that was and still is like constantly changing. But I've been so inspired by kind of how our team members stepped up and worked around the clock to make sure operations were safe and health regulations were followed. And in my role, I was involved in how we kind of implemented and communicated those safety protocols. So as a small but mighty company, I'd say our nimbleness really served us so well, kind of responding to new information, implementing new ways to keep the community safe. And in terms of what it taught me, I would say anticipate anything and everything, like have a plan B or C or D or E for that matter. But it also taught me the value of kind of teamwork and working together to keep our communities really safe and cared for.
Yes, we are all on plan E, I feel like these days, pivoting on a dime, but teamwork is so, so important. But to get to the opposite of teamwork, I want to talk about competition a little bit. So Lisa, there is so much competition out there now, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't go after your passion and do what you love just because other people might be doing the same thing. So what is your number one piece of advice for new business owners who are about to launch in today's crazy competitive market? And what traits do you think they need to succeed?
Yeah, my first thought to that is that just because people who are already there don't look like you doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. There's a lot of industries where there are people who look like me, but the industry that I'm in, which is startup, software, technology, there really aren't. And that might seem crazy in 2020, but it's definitely a reality. Only 2.7% of tech venture capital dollars go to women founders. Think about that for a second. That is horrifically low. And those numbers are way, way worse when it comes to women of color. So if you look around and you see that people are there, but nobody looks like you, do not let that scare you. That is even more reason to enter, offer your perspective, offer your solution, offer your expertise, and do it the way that you think it needs to be done. In terms of traits that make people successful, Emily touched on teamwork. I mean, this is the number one for me. Learn how to work on teams. Learn how to trust other people. Learn how to recognize your own strengths and weaknesses. Sometimes that means hiring someone who is better than you at something or just as good as you are at something, and then truly trusting them to do it. Look back at what you were like in high school. Were you the person who did all the team projects by yourself? Were you the person who didn't contribute at all to team projects? And really figure out how good are you honestly at working on teams and work on that, because you cannot do business alone. You cannot start revolutions alone. You cannot build movements alone. You have to work on teams.
Such great advice and so, so important. And so Mariana, I'd go to your career, which has been amazing to watch. It's been a rocket ship. You launched your career making beauty tutorials on YouTube. And now that channel has over 28 million views. But in 2018, you turned your content platform into a product line called Summer Fridays. And it's been wildly successful. If you haven't heard of it, you're sleeping under a rock because it's absolutely incredible. So how did you summon the confidence to pursue your dreams of being an entrepreneur? Were you nervous? What advice would you give to someone who wants to make a bold move to pursue their dreams?
I'm still nervous to this day. So even now, a few years later, I actually announced that we were launching Summer Fridays at a Create and Cultivate panel. So it's like such a special moment for me to always talk about the brand with you. And so I'm still scared to this day, but just because I was scared doesn't mean I let myself be stopped from doing it. And so when Lauren and I were working on the brand, we were just, I think once you put it out into the universe that it was happening, it's almost like once you tell people you're going to do something, you can't take it back. So if you are feeling fearful of doing something, but you don't want to back out of it, post about it on Instagram. I did the same thing when I launched my blog. I hadn't built the site yet, but I said, it's going to launch on February 1st. so excited. It was not even close to being done, but I was like, well, since I told my followers, I guess it has to happen. And so I think right now too, it's really about taking everything into your own hands. Like, gone are the days of needing to wait for a retailer to carry your brand or somebody to hire you. If you want to be a television host, start a YouTube channel and create content. If you want to start a brand, create a product, build a Shopify site. Google is your best resource. These panels are amazing sources of information to learn from so many amazing experts. Take these into your own hands. You don't need to wait on a retailer to carry your products to sell them. And I think we've seen so many people pivot this year, especially during COVID, of starting new small businesses. And people have been so helpful of these businesses as well to want to share, buy, and shop from them. And so I really think it's about not having the fear, taking it into your own hands, and really just going for it.
Absolutely. There are so many incredible resources online, one of which is Create and Cultivate. So definitely check it out if you're a female entrepreneur. But yes, the YouTube University, I mean, you can figure out anything these days and launch a business on a dime, like really. So it's really incredible. And seeing the success of Summer Fridays just explode has been so much fun, and the products are incredible to back it up. So I love it. So this question is for all of you. So feel free to chime in. What advice would you give to someone listening today who wants to break boundaries like all of you have, but has no idea where to start?
I always have like a goal list that I work from. And so it makes the goal seem a little bit more attainable. So on a piece of paper, at the very top of the piece of paper, I write the goal that I want to attain. And then I write the steps backwards that I think it'll take to get there. So sometimes it's 5, 10, 20 steps. And then I look at the bottom of the sheet and I just start from there. And then once you kind of see that it's broken down into actionable, attainable things, it doesn't seem so overwhelming. And then you know exactly the roadmap that it'll take to get there. Of course, things change along the way, but at least you have like a general idea of like where you're going.
I love that. Jay, do you have any tips for us?
Totally. And just to second what Mariana said, setting goals is incredibly important. Like in my office, I live with 3 different sets of goals or buckets of goals. So having that North Star is incredibly important. But the one piece of advice that I would also give is just ensure that you are taking risks. Because sometimes we have these ideas, we have these thoughts, these goals that we want to do, but we don't start, and we become fearful of taking these risks. So it's incredibly important that we just set ourselves on the right path of actually taking the step of taking a risk, and you'll be better for it.
Yeah, I think sometimes people set goals way too far out, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And first of all, we have no idea what the world is going to look like in 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years. Would we have known this time last year what the world would look like today? Absolutely not. And so you have to be sort of adaptive. I love to focus 1 year out and really anchor myself in a vision. And I like to give this advice to people who feel stuck and they don't know where to begin. Picture 1 year from this date and imagine your life. Close your eyes, stop thinking for a second, and just visualize yourself. Where are you? Who are you with? What are you wearing? What shoes are you wearing? What does it smell like around you? What does your hair look like? What ideas are you thinking about? And really anchor yourself in a vision for the future that might not seem to be about the thing that you're focused on, but is really more holistic about your life, where you live. Is it light out? Is it dark out? Are you alone? Are you reading? Are you in front of a computer? And then start to make sense of that vision. What is that vision? What are you doing? Who are you actually working with? Is there a job title? Is there a goal that you can attach to that vision? And then do as Mariana said and start to work backwards. And when you get stuck or bored or feel like you've hit too many obstacles and you can't move forward, go back to that vision, picture yourself in that outfit, picture yourself surrounded by those people, picture yourself in that room, and keep moving forward.
Love it. Such great advice. So we're going to move on to some rapid fire questions. So is everybody ready? Woo! I love it. Okay, so my 3 greatest strengths are, Asha, I'll go to you first.
Organization, empathy, and creativity.
Beautiful. I love it. Jay?
Oh man, I'd have to say my heart, executing, and if I had to pick a last one, building good relationships.
Too many to choose from. I love it.
I couldn't think of one.
I love it. No, execution. I mean, that's a great one. I think it's so important. You can have a dream, you can have a big idea, but if you can't execute on it, you can't get it done. Emily, your 3 greatest strengths.
Yeah. I would say making an effort to build community wherever I go, finishing what I've started. And in terms of like a business skill, copy editing, I really just love an expertly placed comma.
I love it. Finishing what I started is a great one. Lisa, what are your 3 greatest strengths?
Self-awareness, managing people and recognizing talent in people, which I think is a core part of managing people successfully, and discipline.
Amazing. Mariana?
Optimistic. I think that anything is possible. And so there's no no's in my world. I would say positivity, which kind of goes with optimism, and then delegation. And I feel like that's a big thing about being, a co-founder of a company, is learning how to delegate and take things off of your plate. And so I feel like I've gotten really good at that. And that's why we have such an incredible team of people at Summer Fridays.
So important when building a business and working on your dream. Delegate, delegate, delegate. Okay, I feel most confident when, Lisa, I'll go to you first.
When someone I have coached and invested in succeeds.
Love it. Jay?
When I'm giving back to my community.
Emily?
I think when I'm surrounded by people who are inspiring me and lift me up, and honestly, when I'm in the suit.
Yes, girl. Feeling good. Asha?
I feel most confident when I've meditated.
Ooh, good one. Mariana?
When I hear really good positive feedback from my followers or our customers about how our products really make them feel, because our goal with Summer Fridays is really like making you feel your best, most confident self in your skin. And so it's really the best to hear from them.
Oh, so important. Okay. When I feel fear, Emily?
I talk about it with like a lot of people, and then I just take a big leap of faith. I don't think I've ever regretted it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Jay?
When I feel fear, I try to be as introspective as possible and understand why I'm feeling that fear.
Yes, study the fear. Lisa?
Yeah, I do my research and then I ask for help.
Yes, cannot be afraid to ask for help. Mariana?
I let it fuel me. So even with the fear, I'm like, it's good to be scared of something, and I just let it motivate me even further.
Amazing. Asha?
When I feel fear, I go into action, execution, take control mode, and really try to learn from it.
Love it. Okay, final question. I express myself by, Jay?
The way that I dress and by being my authentic self.
Yes. Emily?
I express myself by showing up for my community.
Absolutely. And Mariana?
Creating content and sharing it online every single day.
Absolutely. Lisa?
By telling stories and pulling stories out of other people.
Yes. And Asha?
I'm a dancer at heart, so I can bust a move, and that's where I really feel connected to my body. But definitely my personal style is another way that I express myself and share what I'm feeling with the world.
I love it. Well, you guys all look incredible, but more importantly, you're doing incredible things. I want to say thank you so much to Express and GoFundMe for supporting the Small Business Relief Fund, helping those impacted by COVID-19. It is so, so important. And you guys can continue to donate today. Express will be matching donations up to $50,000 today. So text Express to 41411 to make your donation today. And thank you so much to our incredible visionaries and dreamers, Mariana, Jay, Asha, Emily, and Lisa. You guys are so inspiring. Thanks, guys, and have a good night.